Welcome back to Mindful Brew. This is where we steep ancient wisdom in the really rapid pace of innovation. I'm Alex.
And I'm Jamie. And today, wow, we're diving deep into something that's really bubbling up everywhere. A genuine mind bender, I think, sparked by AI.
Exactly. The big question we're tackling is, in a future where artificial intelligence handles a lot of the work we do now, are we heading for, the ultimate crisis of meaning?
It sounds dramatic, maybe a bit sci-fi, but it feels like a really relevant philosophical question that's brewing right now.
Totally. I mean, think about it. For most of human history, the daily grind was just survival, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Tilling the land, hunting, really tough stuff.
Yeah.
But did that struggle, that constant effort, maybe give life a certain edge, a purpose?
That's what our sources today are digging into. We've got two really thought-provoking explorations. One's called a post-work AI world, navigating the crisis of meaning, and the other, a post-work AI world. Are we facing the ultimate crisis of meaning?
And they both seem to suggest that this link, this historical connection between work and meaning, is actually super crucial to think about right now.
Yeah, so we're going to unpack this idea, the notion that maybe the hardships of the pre-modern world actually forced people to grapple with meaning because, well, life was hard and short.
Right, whereas a future of AI-driven abundance, it could flip that entirely, couldn't it? Creating a crisis of meaning, not because we lack things, but maybe because we have too much freedom, too little struggle.
It's a fascinating inversion. So, yeah, let's steep on that for a bit.
Okay, so where do we start? Maybe looking back.
Yeah, let's kick things off with that historical perspective. Our sources really stress that this connection between work and meaning, it's not some newfangled 21st century idea at all.
Definitely not. They bring up Karl Marx, for instance. He believed labor wasn't just about making stuff. It was fundamental to our human identity.
That alienation he talked about, that disconnect from your work.
Exactly, that feeling. The sources suggest that if AI makes a lot of human labor obsolete, that sense of alienation could actually get worse.
It's like, if what we do is such a big part of defining who we are, what happens when we don't do in that same way? Is there a void?
That's the worry, isn't it? And then you've got the existentialists, people like Sartre and de Beauvoir.
Right. Their whole thing was basically, hey, you're born without a prepackaged meaning. It's up to you to create it.
Yeah, a heavy lift. So if work, which for many is a primary source of identity and structure, kind of fades away, how do you even begin to build that personal meaning?
It's like being handed a giant blank canvas, which, okay, could be exciting.
Sure, potentially.
But also maybe a bit terrifying. Where do you even start?
Totally. And the sources also point to the Industrial Revolution. Yeah. Max Weber's idea comes up, the iron cage.
Ah, yes. The idea that modern efficiency and bureaucracy could sort of trap us, drain the richness out of human experience.
And the worry now is, could AI make that cage even, tighter? If work becomes purely about mechanized output, commodified down to nothing, what does that do to our sense of self-worth, our human spirit?
It's a sobering thought. So we've seen these concerns bubbling under the surface for a long time, even before advanced AI was really on the horizon.
Okay, so let's fast forward. We're heading into this AI-powered future. On the one hand, there's this incredible promise, isn't there? Liberation.
Totally. Liberation from the boring, the repetitive, the soul-crushing tasks. Imagine just getting all that time back.
It sounds amazing. The sources mention Yuval Noah Harari, who has this optimistic take. Maybe we can focus more on relationships, creativity, personal growth.
Finally learn that language, or spend more time with family or volunteer.
Right. Sounds fantastic. More time for hobbies, for loved ones.
Yeah.
Maybe finally master sourdough bread or something.
Huh. Maybe. But then there's the shadow side, and this is where it gets really interesting and maybe a bit uncomfortable.
Okay.
Our sources bring in Viktor Frankl, that really powerful quote of his.
Oh, the one about meaning.
Yeah. Life is never made unbearable by circumstances, but only by lack of meaning and purpose. And that just hits differently in this context, doesn't it?
It really does.
Yeah.
Because if AI gives us all this free time, this freedom from circumstance almost, but we lack that sense of purpose, could that become unbearable?
Could the freedom itself become the burden? It makes you wonder, even if current work feels mundane sometimes, does it provide a structure, a rhythm that its total absence might just disrupt fundamentally?
Absolutely. And the sources point to existential psychologists like Rollo May, who directly linked a lack of meaning to anxiety, to depression. They talk about this potential for an existential vacuum.
A vacuum.
Yeah.
That's a strong image. a feeling of emptiness, pointlessness, if work, which has provided structure, identity, social connection for so many, just kind of evaporates.
Yeah, it's like we've all been climbing this ladder, right? The ladder of career, of work, of striving. What happens if we reach the top, thanks to AI doing the climbing for us, and we look around and there's just empty space, or maybe nowhere else to climb?
That's the core of the potential crisis, I think.
But it's not all doom and gloom.
Yeah.
Thankfully, the sources don't just leave us there hanging in existential dread.
No, definitely not. They actually offer some really interesting pathways forward, ideas for how we might find or create meaning in a post-work landscape.
Okay, good. Like what?
Well, one big theme is really leaning into creativity and connection. The idea being, okay, if we're not clocking in 9 to 5, maybe we genuinely do have more time and, crucially, more mental energy for art, for philosophy, for community projects.
Getting involved locally, things like that.
Exactly. The sources even bring in Martha Nussbaum's arguments about the importance of the humanities, literature, philosophy, history, for cultivating a rich, meaningful life. It's about valuing different kinds of contributions, not just economic output.
That feels like a huge shift, redefining what we even consider valuable activity.
Precisely. It's about redefining success, moving away from this hyper-focus on productivity and income.
Which is so ingrained.
So ingrained. And shifting towards things like well-being, community engagement, personal fulfillment. Richard Sennett is mentioned, advocating for a much more inclusive understanding of work and human flourishing.
It's like needing a whole cultural reset button, isn't it?
Yeah.
Thinking about what flourishing even means if it's not tied directly to a traditional job.
It really is. It makes you think about, all those things people say they do if only they had the time. Maybe that becomes the new center.
And community comes up strong too, right? Support networks.
Oh, absolutely vital. The sources emphasize that strong social bonds, real community connection, can be a huge anchor when we're grappling with these big existential questions.
Like we figure it out together, rather than feeling isolated in this newfound freedom.
Exactly. They suggest, maybe we need more intentional initiatives that foster community engagement, things that combat isolation and help us collectively discover and create meaning. Leaning on each other seems key.
That makes sense. We saw during the pandemic, didn't we, how crucial those social connections were when our usual work routines just vanished overnight for many people.
That's a really good point. The structure disappeared, and people had to find new ways to connect and find purpose.
And what about learning? Does education play a role here?
Huge role. The sources stress the importance of lifelong learning, but not just, learning new job skills for the AI economy.
Right, not just reskilling for the sake of it.
No, more fundamental things like critical thinking, emotional intelligence, adaptability, the skills that help us navigate change and uncertainty.
Sort of learning how to be human in a changing world.
You could put it that way. John Dewey's ideas are mentioned that education shouldn't just be about job prep. It should be about personal and social transformation, equipping us to engage meaningfully with the world, whatever that world looks like.
So it's about building inner resources, not just outer skills.
Exactly. Equipping ourselves for the unknown, really.
Yeah. Okay, so wrapping this up a bit, as we've journeyed through this today here on Mindful Brew, it feels clear that this potential post-work AI world, it's way more than just robots taking jobs.
Oh, much more. It's a really deep dive into the core of what gives our lives meaning, and it presents this fork in the road, almost.
Do we stumble into an existential crisis, lost in too much unstructured time? Or do we rise to the occasion?
Yeah. Do we actually manage to redefine what it means to be human, to live a fulfilling life in a world where maybe, just maybe, the struggle for basic survival or even just the 9 to 5 grind isn't the central driving force anymore?
It's definitely a lot to think about. And the sources seem to agree that actively engaging with these questions, now the philosophical side, the psychological side, that's going to be crucial.
We can't just let the technology happen to us, right? We need to think about how we want to live with it. It's about us, fundamentally.
So we genuinely love to hear what you, listening right now, think about all this. What do you see as potential sources of meaning in a world less defined by traditional work?
Yeah, jump onto our social media channels and share your thoughts. We're always curious to hear different perspectives.
And hey, if you found this deep dive into the future of meaning thought-provoking, please do subscribe to Mindful Brew wherever you get your podcasts.
And give us a like if you enjoyed it. It really helps others find the show. Also, don't forget you can sign up for our free newsletter over at www.mindfulbrew.co for more content like this.
Thanks so much for brewing with us today on Mindful Brew.
Until next time, keep pondering those big questions.